Yes, thank you, Hanna, and welcome back, and welcome all new possible participants of this workshop. And just here, before we go to the discussions we just had before the lunch in breakout rooms, so you were asked earlier today to write, like, with 3 words, what motivates you in your work as a researcher. Also, if you are not acting as a researcher, you can think in general what motivates researchers. And so we can see that it is not so surprising that there is innovation, curiosity, knowledge, learning, collaboration, and so on. I don't see so many referring to the secure career paths or stages. But so I think that these words, they refer much to this, what has come up also in researches done among researchers when they have been asked that what is interesting, what is motivating them. But so, Siobhan, you can continue. The platform is yours, and you can also comment this, or then we just continue with this breakout room session discussions and summaries from them.
Thank you, Verve. It's very interesting to see the outcome because the question was, what motivates you? And you can see from the answers that it's all about the research itself and the new knowledge that is created because of that research. So I think we all agree that that's what motivates us, but I was in breakout room 3, and you'll see that our conclusions and our discussion points were far removed from that, and the motivation was the sacrifice that people had to pay. But anyway, we will come back to that. Breakout room 1, who was chairing or facilitating that?
I believe it was Marcus. Yes.
Okay, is Marcus here?
Of course I'm here, like always.
Hello, Marcus. How are you?
I
I can't see you, Marcus.
I just didn't have any idea that we are breakup room 1. But now, as we are 1, I have 1 slide to present. I hope you see it now. So what I've written down, what was the most important things, because I don't want to tell you all the things we discussed in the 60 minutes. The most important things, basically, I hope this works. First of all, structural problem, financial security and excellent lab environments attract high potentials. So I formulated it positive and not negative, that they need it. It's like, if we want to attract high potentials from all over the world, we have to have financial security and excellent lab environments for our PhDs and for our postdocs. Scientific career without good supervisors and mentors is not possible. And here we have to keep in mind that postdocs are not finished scientists or managers. So we all are familiar with the concept of having a supervisor during your PhD, but we are not really familiar with having a clear mentor, being from either industry or science after your PhD. So this would be a really interesting thing for RunEU Plus as well, to come up with a career development plan who integrates official mentors after your PhD. And we discussed at the end that I think we should be opportunity driven, not advice driven, if we can take the risk or the costs of this decision. Because we all know that there are a lot of experienced scientists all over the world that tell you, or who tell you, you have to do this and this and this to get to your career, to your scientific career. However, these people are mostly 20 years older, and the world turned a little bit during the last 20 years. So becoming a professor with 30 years of age was not possible 20 years ago. Now it's just common. So we should always take the opportunities the world gives us, and not always hearing the advices of all the others who tell us how to do it. And just 2 things we have already discussed for the afternoon. So based on the skills, PhDs have to supervise students, but they never got a training for this. and PhD postdocs have to apply for funding sometimes, but they never got a training for it either. So I think we should also dedicate some things in the next workshops in RunU Plus on these two topics. So that was the most important things I discussed together with Katie, Sylvia, and Prachi in my breakout room. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marcus. So that answers my question, which is what was the profile of the researchers in your room?
So we had one PhD, one postdoc, and one Marie Curie fellow.
Okay, so different levels, so that's great. Okay, and Marcus, how do you, as a research manager, how do you feel RunEU Plus could address those issues?
I
Obviously,
think especially the mentorship is a really important thing. If we can come up with a buddy program, I think we already have it in the proposal somewhere like this, where we also have mentors from industry. And on a really day-to-day basis, I think we really need a workshop on how to supervise students or how to apply for funding. Because if the supervisors are not giving it to their PhDs and postdocs, no one will. But maybe we can have a workshop dedicated on this topic.
Okay, so very interesting then that mentorship, right, from more experienced people, so not postdocs, but one that you would have considered to be fully trained, so to speak. That's what you said, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, so mentors who have done the way, but who still are open enough to say that this is not the general way everyone has to go.
Okay.
But ways changed. I think we have to have open-minded seniors who see also that the world changed a little bit in the last 20 years.
Yes, because my next point was going to be, but you don't want them too stuck in a rut, like you said, because people who have been in their career for a long time may be too general in their approach.
Yes.
Okay, so, but do you think it's a matter of age, or do you think it's a matter more of how far people have migrated away from the research activity? Might it be something like that?
I think age is not an issue.
Okay.
I think you just need some experience, and some 32-year-old scientists could have in a special field a really high experience as well compared to someone who is 60 years old. So I think we should not go on age, we should go on specific skills they have or specific experience. I think the experience is really important, because I think Katie always nodded when I said, okay, a lot of people told me you have to leave University of Bayreuth if you want to become professor. You have to do this, you have to do this. And I did nothing of this and still have a really good position now. And she was always nodding like, yeah, a lot of people told me as well to leave TUS. To get away from to get to the scientific career, but as soon as TUS have the opportunities to develop, everything is fine. And I think it was good that she heard from someone else that I did this the same way. I think that's most important, that the young scientists can talk to people who really experienced same issues.
Okay, so what I'm taking from that is a mentorship program would be very welcomed. However, as part of RunEU Plus, we can work together with researchers to define what that mentorship program looks like and what profile the mentors should have.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anything else, Marcus, that you'd like to add, or anybody else from breakout room number 1? Would they like to add anything? No? Okay, thanks, Marcus. Breakout room 2.
Hi, that's me. So the participants were 2 senior research managers, 1 senior contract researcher, 1 early stage postdoctoral researcher, and 1 later stage postdoctoral researcher. So the comments on the challenges then are pretty broad across that spectrum. Ultimately, researchers love doing research, and the opportunities it brings. Spin out companies actually were something that was mentioned. Traveling, critically important to researcher career development, gaining skills and knowledge in new universities. But ultimately, this comes with the price of having to leave family and friends, usually in search of the next research contract. Writing and contributing to successful grants are a critical part of a successful researcher's career life, as we are constantly fighting to consolidate our position as non-permanent researchers. This brings the pressures and anxiousness with regard to having a family, renting an apartment, getting mortgage approval in the environments where the contracts we have are not permanent. Attracting and keeping research students we're expected to supervise can be a challenge now, because to be successful as researchers, we need a lot of skills. You need to be an excellent researcher sometimes, and not more often than not, an excellent teacher, an excellent supervisor, an excellent grants writer, which are a lot of skill sets, all challenging in their own right. And there should be an obvious reward system for excellence in these areas. As you become more successful, unfortunately, the burden of administrative and management requirements sometimes means we lose usually our best researchers from the lab to fulfill those other obligations, and these are then very difficult to replace. The lack of PhD awarding powers in some institutions was referenced as a challenge in attracting researchers. So that leads on to the final point of retaining researchers in a sustainable way while avoiding contract gaps for them, which obviously can have financial repercussions and the anxiousness that they can bring to those points mentioned earlier. So that summarizes us, Siobhan.
Thanks, Poddy. So if you were to pick 3 key words there in summary, what would it be? What would they be?
They reward for being good at what they do. Stability.
Yeah.
And not surprisingly for me, but travel, the ability to travel and learn new skills in different places within the consortium.
Yeah, so we spoke a little bit about that as well in breakout room 3, and we discussed, now I'm not going to take Jose from our conclusions, but it was very interesting because we said that, you know, a particular point in your career, you might be free to travel, but as you highlighted there, Poddy, there comes a point where you may have responsibilities and commitments that, you know, make it more difficult to travel. So while RunEU Plus promotes mobility, do you think it's important then that we look for ways that we can support mobility in various forms? Like, for example, today this is virtual mobility. So do you think that we need to look at opportunities that may be more flexible?
Yeah, all of the above. Like, it would be great on those projects where we're successful, be they national or international, that we use RunEU as an advantage point for us, that we write it into the grant, that we're going to promote travel from within the consortium of those researchers specific to the research program or project, and that we kind of leverage from those other mechanisms to allow our researchers to move and travel, and that we should actually leverage RunEU, where I think we all would agree, those who are familiar, that there are some of the mobility opportunities are unlikely to be taken up because they're too long, and that we should repurpose those mobilities for early stage career researchers to move. So I think that's definitely something we can take back to the management committee of the main RunEU project.
Yeah, and as well as that, I mean, RunEU is all about collaboration. So the focus is on collaboration, and the mobility then enables that collaboration. So it should be up to the person or the project to define what that mobility is or what is appropriate to the people involved, because it's the people that are going to deliver on that collaboration. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. Okay, now very interesting as well. So you had a point up there about that researchers are supposed to be experts in, you know, their specific field, in teaching, in communication, in supervision, in, you know, grant writing and all of that. So, you know, you can't attend a class. We all know that from experience. You can't just attend a class and then you're an expert in teaching or grant writing. Okay, it comes from experience and actually doing it. So what I'm thinking is we could actually, the mentoring program that people have suggested would be, you know, we could have different mentors across RunEU that specialize in those specific areas. What do you know, what do people think? This is something we might again discuss somewhere else, but so it's a go-to person who can help you in that particular period of time, and then you move on. Because I do think that you have to be supported through the experience as opposed to just getting trained on it, because we all know, we all learned the biggest things we learned, and the most important things we learned in our career wasn't from a classroom. It was by actually doing it and learning from our mistakes. So that might be something we could consider, I think.
Yeah, that we have to learn how to fail.
Yeah,
All of
but
us, 'cause we've all failed.
support, yeah, to
Yeah.
support the, what do you mean we've all failed? Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
So so we support the researchers through the process. It's the climb, so to speak, you
Yeah.
know, and we're there for them, and then they can move on to the next person if they have to teach or something. So that's something that might be good. Okay, is there anything else you'd like to add there, Poddy? Very good notes, by the way.
No, thanks. And what do I do? Will I send those to you, Verve? The slide, is that okay?
Yes, yes, please.
No
Thank you.
problem. Thanks, Siobhan.
Okay, thank you. Jose, breakout room 3.
Yes. Well, in breakout room 3, we were 8 people from different levels. We have 2 master students and also PhD researchers from different institutions of RNEU. Well, we discuss a lot of challenges, mainly the need to build networks, the challenge of time managing for researchers or students, master students or PhD students that are also doing research, the need to manage time within these different activities. Also the need for having skills in scientific writing was also said. And finally, the main difficulty, funding. Find funding, um, be able to have funding from industries, from societal organizations, and so on. The main idea, and I can put it in a phrase if I'm able to, is that, and also, sorry, the stability, the lack of stability for most of our researchers. So the main idea is that short-term contracts related mainly with funding opportunities. When I have a funding research project, I have a contract. When I don't have a funding research project, I don't have a contract. Don't allow the development of high quality research. This high quality research is mainly get after a permanent contract that gives stability, financial stability, and job stability. Finally, another challenge, the way researchers are paid and the comparison between research, the wage of a researcher and the wage of a high staff in industries. So the difference, industries, the labor market pays better, much better in some areas than a research career. So that's also a challenge that Breakout Room 3 spared, and that's the main ideas.
Okay, thank you very much, Jose. So the recognition running you as networks and potential networks to support researchers in their career or throughout their career. Short-term contracts, the impact of that is that researchers have to chase funding. And that if they're constantly chasing funding, then that impacts on their delivery of the research, and that impacts on the quality of the research. And I think that just to link that back to what one of the comments that Paddy had, that as researchers move through their career, that, you know, everybody is hired at the start as a researcher, not because they wrote their own grant, because they're not an employee yet. They actually were hired as a research assistant or a postdoctoral fellow. But then as they mature as a researcher and they're longer in the organization, they get to chase their own money to make keep them self-employed. So that goes back to Paddy's comment that as you move through your career in our current structure and funding structure, you're moved away from what motivates us, which is the research, and we are moved away. So our expertise is taken. We're not allowed to develop our expertise because it's moved on to other duties and bureaucratic things that we have to do. So is that what am I correct in summing that up?
Yes,
okay, thank you. So again, what I'm thinking is I'm trying to link up everything here, and going back to Verve's beautiful slide there with all of the colored words. Motivation was the first thing, right? That was the one that stood out to me. And what I'm hearing so far in all of these comments is that we are motivated to do high quality research. So all of our challenges are actually impacting in our ability to deliver high quality research. So in focusing on a career framework that we need, it's to make sure that that framework allows us to maintain the integrity of our research and the quality of it. Okay? Would I be? I'm seeing nods. Okay. Okay, so that's a theme now that's coming clear in my head. So Josie, anything else that you want to add? I think you've covered everything there.
Yes. No, I don't know if some of our colleagues want to add something. No.
No. Okay, breakout room 4, who was in that one? Okay, Sarah.
Okay, I don't know if I'm in 4, but sorry,
Yeah, that's fine. Jump in there, it's grand.
Okay, so in our breakout session, we were a very diverse group of people. So we had a senior researcher, 3 early stage researchers, 1 PhD student, and 1 bachelor student as well. So I think we covered a lot of the career stages in research, and we discussed, I mean, most of the things that we have already talked here, but one of the main struggles at all levels is time management, task management. Again, we said this before in the previous sessions, for the previous sessions, that we have so many tasks that it's very difficult to manage all. And I know there are courses for that. I don't know if it could be something that Ronnie, you could help. It's not easy to do, I know. But okay, it was something that it was really discussed, and this time management sometimes does not allow researchers to really focus on their progress in their research career. So this was the main difficulty. Also, the teaching versus researching. Of course, everyone can understand the importance of teaching, importance of getting students for research, all of that, but also it can hamper the progress in the research and to deliver high quality research, as we discussed before. Then this was also discussed for all levels of research stages, but especially highlighted at the PhD student level was that one of the biggest challenges is to conciliate research work with family duties. Also something that was discussed. I don't really have a solution for that, but yeah, it's something that it's one of the struggles for everyone. Something that in this particular point was raised, and I think it's worth to comment, and also relates with the supervision, quality, training, mentoring, whatsoever, is that it's really important that the students and the supervisors connect with each other's struggle. And one of the things that came out that can help is to have a diverse group of supervisors. And if we start with one male, one female supervisor, sometimes it helps to relate with specific problems. One more rational, another more emotional. Of course, this is not
Yeah.
literal. Sometimes it's not like that, but it's
Yeah.
something that it came up. Then also for the level of master student, bachelor student, a specific challenge is that they don't feel that this stage in their career is recognized, or the importance is recognized sometimes as much as at the PhD student or the PhD level. So they feel that sometimes to choose a master is not recognized by their peers, by the supervisors, as an important stage in the career as it is the rest of the scientific career. And then we discussed a lot about networking, importance of networking, and motivation. Again, this was the motivation part was a big thing discussed in the breakout session, the importance to be motivated all the time, to lead with to deal with frustration and rejection and everything. I think it was more or less that. If
Okay,
someone
so
wants to add something here.
yeah, would anybody else like to add? No? Okay, so that's a fair reflection there. And what's interesting there is, you know, we can all relate to those issues from any stage in our research career, really. So again, I think it's important that we take each one of those issues and challenges and we recognize them as well. What would be very interesting, I think, is as we are designing our program, it's been very good with the different breakout rooms. You can see the mixture of profiles in some of the breakout rooms and the feedback that we're getting. And then say, Sarah, in yours in particular, you can identify the early stage career researchers. And that just tells me that we do need sessions where we have people at each stage giving feedback and having their own discussions, because it would be very easy for, you know, more experienced researchers to go, you just need to manage your time. But again, you know, we can't just say that. That needs to be taught and they need to be mentored through that. So I think that would be a very valuable thing to do, to consider as the program matures, that we have particular sessions for different stage researchers. That would be very good. Okay, thank you very much. Very good feedback. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so I think it's our last room, is it?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, yes, there is still one group. So
Yep.
I was moderating that. Yes, and so there were also same kind of topics under discussion that has come up earlier. So there were 6 of us, a master student and postdocs, and also more senior researcher in our group. And so the first key concept that came out when we started to talk about challenges is this time. And I think it already came out, this time management in work, but also then the balance between work and the family life, private life. And we talked about this that in some universities, we don't know from these consortium universities, but so know that in some universities they have some practices that they are visible in a way that they are supporting that people have families, and then it helps these practices them to find this more balance in working life and family. But so on the other hand, we also agreed that there is constant competition when we think researchers work, and this career, that we can't just put that fact away when we think about this how to improve things. Also, we discussed about the well, yes, related to this family and this balance, that we also discussed about the all in all, this well-being. And of course, there are nowadays in some universities, there are also some like courses and on that, and that is one possibility to also think about that in RunEU Plus context. But of course, it is also broader concept and broader topic that should like be embedded in many kinds of practices at the university. Also, we note we agreed that teaching is part of researchers' work, but then have to have some balance in organizational like guidelines for researchers, at how it is organized, at how much teaching you can have. But so teachers are also key persons thinking this, that they can like share these visions of researchers' career paths, so that it's not only purely in academia, but also in collaboration with the public sector and industry and so on, so that they are in that way also important target group when we are thinking our supervision training in RunEU Plus. But so I think that was like mainly what we talked about. But so if some from our group want to add something, please.
No. Okay, so thank you, Verve. So that's the 5 breakout rooms. So just to sum up then, and again, this is a real summary, okay? So what we have identified through the breakout rooms and all of our discussions is mentorship is very important for our researchers, okay? So we have to make sure that the mentorship comes from either industrial partners and experienced researchers who have walked the path before we did. We need to reward research excellence. We need stability for our career. So we have a defined career path with stable and long-term contracts. We have to support each other to collaborate and to be mobile. So within RunEU to have those opportunities. And sometimes because of our short-term contracts, the focus is on chasing the funding. So what happens then that our expertise in our research is actually being diluted. So our research expertise is being sacrificed by being a career researcher, if you know what I mean. That's the current structure. And then time management and task management is very important, and the whole work-life balance and well-being. So we need supports in place for that. So just to conclude then, if I go back to the first presentation that I gave, which is the overview of RunEU and RunEU Plus, you know, research is a core function of our new university. And this European university is a collaboration across 7 partners in Europe, okay? Mobility, we all agree, is very, very important to our research. We've just agreed that we are all motivated by high quality research. So in this work package where we are developing and supporting human capital, which is our researchers, we have to look to develop a framework which actually supports long-term career planning within research, okay? And the programs that we design are to support our researchers in that career to make sure that they can manage their time, that they can secure funding for the next generation of researchers, and that we can all deliver high quality research. Would that be a sum up of what we are all about? Okay, so time is finished now for this session, but I'd just like to thank you all for your time today. It's been very valuable. We're only on the start of a journey together, okay? RunEU Plus is only here about 6 or 8 months now. So please, please, please stay involved, because it's you all who guide our programs. So your feedback is very important. Contact us at any time. If you've any ideas, please contact us and we will always have an open door for you. So thank you, Verve. I'll hand it back over to you now. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Stefan. And so she has to go to another meeting, and so that's why it was a little bit like goodbye. But so we continue. So Hanna, please, can you put the this afternoon program on the slide of this, if possible?
Yes, just one moment. Here we go.
Yeah, thank you. So it's not doesn't make any harm that if we are a little bit behind the schedule, because there is a smaller group of us than we thought, thinking the amount of registered. But so we continue now with this topic, researcher skills and competencies. And we have short presentations first, and they are about they are from different fields, and they bring up different kind of skills of researchers they need in different kind of environments. And first we have José Carlos Gomes from Portuguese University, and he's telling about participatory research. And then from Pedro Moraes and João Bilaga, also from Portuguese University, they will say something about what kind of skills and what it is to work as an entrepreneur or with the enterprises. And then Markus Preisinger from Austria University, so he will tell about storytelling, which is a quite different kind of skill on a topic among these others. And I will then lead us to these discussions in the breakout rooms, saying something about these skills in general and also about training. But so floor is yours, José Gomez, please.
Yes, I'm
can
trying
continue.
to put on my presentation. Let's see if I can get here. No. Okay. Are you?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, hello again, everyone. Well, in 5 minutes, what I want to achieve is to share with you a little bit about this idea of making science with communities. How can we um, make science involving communities, peoples, the people that will then use the results of our research. And for that, I would like to talk a little bit about this community-based participatory research. The main idea of community-based participatory research is to involve all the community in the research process. So we don't use in community-based participatory research study participants. We use the whole community, and we include the participants in the study in our research. It's a research partner. So they share all the steps of the research, the protocol design, the fundraising, and also they then share all the results and use the results for the well-being of the community. That's the main idea of community-based participatory research. The definition of community-based participatory research is that a collaborative approach to research that equitably involves all partners in the research process and recognize the unique strengths that each brings. That means that academia, where the research skills and competencies are, can learn with community and vice versa. That means that researchers, professors, research units work together, shoulder by shoulder, with the community, with community organizations, including, of course, rigor, relevance, but also the reach of the results of the research. And all the steps, as I said, the research goal, study design, data collection, data analysis, discussion of results, and evaluation of the process are shared between researchers, pure researchers, academic researchers, and the community, the population where the research were developed. Well, community-based participatory research is an approach to research. It's not a methodology. We can use all kind of methodologies, different research methodologies. It's not CBPR is not a methodology. It's an approach. It's a way of organizing the research and the research process. It's CBPR is community-based. It's not placed in the community. We not only study the people of the community or the community itself. We study with the community and with the people of the community the subjects, the issues that are needed to be studied. CBPR is driven by community needs. That means that, and not by funding or publishing potential. That means that we look straight up to the needs of the community when we develop our research project. And even, for instance, the funding can be easier because the community itself is involved, and local authorities, industries, local organizations can input some of the funding needs for the project. CVPR is also a bottom-up approach from the whole community to the research stuff, and not a top-down. That's not the research. It's not the researcher that choose what will be do and when it will be done. The researchers share the solution and the decision with the community, with all the staff, with all the members involved in the research. Finally, CBPR is an exchange of knowledge and skills, not a simple transfer of knowledge and skills. Researchers learn and develop new skills with communities, and communities learn how to organize themselves and learn new skills, get empowered with the research results. This kind of approach is not very much used in Portugal. Anyway, anyway, we have some examples. I did my PhD a few years ago, 12 years ago, 14 years ago, I finished it. We're using this community-based participatory research with the community, driving to empower the community for mental health and mental well-being. But in 3 or 4 years ago, we developed a project in one of our research units, Help to Care, for dependent people and caregivers, where we use this kind of approach to develop some materials, video materials, and written materials to help caregivers, informal caregivers, to answer the needs of the people, the family, or other kind of people they care for on a daily basis. And it was a very interesting project because all the materials were developed with the caregivers, answering the needs of the caregivers. And nowadays, we have this kind of materials that are available for who wants to get it. This is the site uptocare.pt. Most of the materials are, of course, in Portuguese. I apologize for that, but we have some description in English of what we have done and how the community-based participatory research approach was important for this process. So the community-based participatory is a very interesting approach to mainly in social science, in healthcare, but also in developing public policies, all kind of public policies, because we involve the community in the choice, and the community choose what they want to fulfill, what they want to answer, and the research results are used by the community to improve their quality of life. And if you want to know a little bit more about it, we must book another day and a longer time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jose. And this is very important and essential topic for our collaboration in RunEU and RunEU Plus. And I think we will come back to this topic. And now we continue with these short presentations, and then Pedro and Joao. So please, you have something about enterprises and entrepreneurship, please.
Hello, only 1 second to share the screen. Hello, sorry. Can you see my screen and can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
So hello everyone. So we will talk now about a little about entrepreneurship. We will talk about our experience and some scenarios that we already performed in our research center. So come back in for this initial figure. We will focus on this point. We will talk about commercialization, entrepreneurship, innovation, and intellectual property, and we will try to explain how can we move on our research results to the market or to the commercialization and finally for the economic impact. As a short introduction about entrepreneurship and what is entrepreneurship is basically how the organization can generate value. And as everyone know, typically the research centers there are a lot of innovation, a lot of good ideas, and basically most of the problem is how to translate these good ideas for the final economic impact. And for that, typically is required the development of new skills, the support of different entities, new training programs to teach new skills for the researchers. And now the goal of this presentation is to show you what were our ways, our experience, and basically what is our research philosophy in our research center. As our vision, our research center is termed Applied Artificial Intelligence, and we are working on applied scientific research. So all of our project and all our results are mainly applied for one specific output, for a specific result, not only fundamental research. And when we are working and when we are performing our normal research, there are different ways where we can show our output. So the most common way is the scientific outputs to the publications through conference. This is quite relevant to show our scientific experience, to demonstrate our knowledge. We also typically go for research and development projects, most of them to start with new ideas, to start with new projects, and also we have some prizes, it's normal. But currently, when we are going for a scientific output, when we are going for a publication, for example, first of all, we must consider if we can protect our intellectual property. So if you think that our work has innovation that could go for a patent, we would prefer to go first for a patent to try to explore this technology, then go directly for a publication where basically we show all results, we explain all the details of our technique, and after the publication, it is not possible to protect the IP because we already shared all our innovation. And this is different ways to create scientific output, but both of them can be used to go to the market with different ways. But we can go, for example, for software licensing, technology transfer, patent licensing, the creation of spin-offs. And basically the goal of the remaining part of the presentation is show you some of our success cases and demonstrate that each case has different routes to achieve the market. So it is not always the same strategy. In some of them, we go for the scientific works. Other ones are based on RP. Other ones are more innovative, and we try to secure all information. And we will show you some cases to try to show you our experience. And starting with the scenario A, I will not put here the names of the commercializations, only hypothetical cases that I will show you. So it is with the software licensing, it was an experience that we already performed in our research center. And for example, we have a PhD student that typically during 4 years, he was developing a new software for a specific medical application. On that case, the software was innovative. It was a new technique that was not available on the market. And at this point, we decided to go initially for the technical studies and technical publications. Here, we don't decide to go, for example, for IP, because basically the new software was merging different techniques that were described on literature. So the innovation was not clear in terms of technical details, but the full software was interesting. And when we finalized the technical studies, we basically were able to capture the clinical interest, and the clinical teams starting looking to our software and starting testing our software in the clinical environment and allow us to perform the final validation in a real scenario. When we complete these two parts of the study, they take like 4 years to do it. The industrial partners starting having interest on our software and start talking with us. Although they talk with us when we perform like the initial technical studies, they were only really interested when you go for the publication on a real scenario. And after that, after we complete the studies, we go first for an NDA, where a non-disclosure agreement, where we define a set of terms for about our IP and set of terms for our secure, and then we start the negotiations. And most of the negotiations were mainly how can we integrate your software in the industrial partner framework. And finally, we were able to have the software licensing. So we provide to the company like a software, but the company was also need to work to integrate their software in their framework, and they also need to perform the final medical certification that is extremely demanding to do it too. And in this case, for example, we define a model of royalties, where basically all the outcomes or all the number of sales that they perform, the value will be divided between the inventors and also between the industry that is responsible for the commercialization of the products. The second case that I will show you is about co-promotion project, and it's also some examples that we have in our facilities. So in this case, typically we have some industrial partners, typically industrial partners around us, and we have a good conversation between them to understand some industrial needs, and we as a research center can present the scientific solution. And after defining these 2 points, frequently we go for what in term like joint R&D projects. And when you start this project, one of the most important focus is the Consortium Agreement, where we define it if the IP will be shared or not shared. So for us as a research center, is also interested to be shared, because if the final value as like a final output, you could also receive something from this experience. This type of co-promotion project is nice because when we are doing the development, we already have the way to perform the final validation that will be automatically performed in industrial partner in their facilities. And after we have the first inputs, there are different ways, but frequently we go for a patent to perform, again, the IP protection. Or in some cases, we can go directly for the technology transfer, and we put all our technology directly in our partner to starting developing the new solutions. And typically here, we can also then establish a set of agreements to have like economic impact, and also to also we're able to capture some investment for this type of projects. And now I will let the next case for João.
Hello, good afternoon. So this is also a scenario with some boxes that you can see over here, but this translates more or less what has been the process that we made until we have achieved a huge, large knowledge transfer that we performed more or less 1.5 years ago. So we developed during a PhD project technology for navigation, for surgical navigation that incorporates hardware and software. And this type of technology only called attention of the companies when reach a certain level of development. So in that sense, what we try to develop here is a way to bring value to the things that we develop. And bring value is understanding here what is going to be the value for the company that probably could be the taker of this type of technology. In that sense, we try to, during the process, to incorporate the technology with a lot of things that are not only the algorithms or the proof of concept. Is also a set of documentary information about the regulatory things, like how the things are developed in the medical way that could be certified in the future. And then also working with our IP attorneys to see how can we protect parts of the technology. And in this particular case, we develop all these stages, and we first develop an in vitro laboratory solution to test and validate the things. We never publish anything about the technical field of this project. It is difficult when we are doing a PhD to retain all this information, because also limit the information and the traveling and go to the conference to show the real interesting thing that you are developing. But this is a secret until you have all in your possession all the ingredients that we need to create value in this product. So we keep this with us, the technical part, and when we reach a certain point of development, what we decide is to go to medical validation. And when we achieve the results of the medical validation, we go to Congress, and typically were the physicians that work with us that present this type of results, because they really understand what is the potential of this technology in the field that they are working on. So when we reached the Congress, the International Congress of this specialty, this called the attention of several companies, and some of them came and worked and started to discuss with us about the possibility to use this technology. And in this sense, similar to what Pedro has been explained, we create NDA. We work with each one of the companies one at a time, not all the companies at the same time. We decide in the first approach it was not a good experience, so we moved to another company, and in that sense, after we assigned the NDA and start negotiations, it was a really difficult process. And in this moment, we also understand that it will be a value for the system, because system use third parts hardware that only one company in the world was able to provide. And what we do before we start the negotiations with the company, it was set exclusivity agreement for this type of application. So when we go to the company and discuss with the company, we don't have only the demo, the functional prototype, the results, the medical validation, the IP protection, but also an agreement that in a certain way is even better than the patent that we have. So, and for that, we start negotiations, and it was really difficult. We need to discuss with the IP department of the company, the regulatory department, the marketing department, the product development department, because what they want was not only the technology, but they want to understand if the team that developed the company was able to provide them all the knowledge that they need to bring this demo to the market. And in that sense, after more or less 1 year of negotiations, we sell the technology with a huge upfront value and also a royalty for the next 10 years. Pedro, we can change the slide. So another scenario that we are developing here, actually this was a first scenario that I came up that I faced when I finished my PhD. I was also in my mind that I want to create a company with the technology that I developed. So typically what I perform, that is the same thing that we apply here for the researchers that want to go to the technology, to the market with their own company. We look at the technology. We need to understand if the company, if the technology has a potential in the market, and for that we start to develop some business models and some business plans to understand what is the market, what is the concurrency that we will have and will face in the market, what should be the target price of the market, and for that, typically. What we advise the researchers to do is to start an incubation program where they with this guys that are able to understand what are the best ways to go to the market. They decided to understand what is the technology and create all the support that is going to be held to move this idea or this technology to the market. And in the same time, we keep the technical part away from the publications, and we only publicate the information about the demonstration of the validation of this type of technology. Another important thing here is in this part is the creation of IP. And because the value of the company will be related with the IP protection level. And in this case, typically we go in the first moment for a patent, and then we create like a family of patents of the product with the things that in the meanwhile we develop for this type of product. Then when we have a really interesting business model, we understand that this could be a potential company. We create a spin-off company, and then we go and surround us by industrial partners that could allow us to develop the different aspects of the company, where we can produce some part of the technology, the guys that could help us in the regulatory part. And then after that, we are able to go to the market to get some money for business angels, for instance, and then start the company. And that, in the end, generates economic impact for the institution. So these are more or less the four scenarios that we prepare for you. We are able to discuss other of these scenarios in detail in a future event if you are interested on that. And thank you very much.
Thank you. It was very interesting to see, and it is easy to understand that you need to have a lot of this kind of negotiation skills and competencies, and also patience in the process. And there are many small processes ongoing at the same time. But so we continue about this also in the breakout room session and this kind of skills. But now I give the floor to Markus, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I try to share my PowerPoint. Should work, and you should see a laser pointer. Just a remark, I'm waiting since 6 hours for my bell ringing for a really important personal stuff. It's not an Amazon package. So if in the next 5 minutes the bell will ring, then I have to jump up and we will take over. I just want to tell you 5 minutes something about storytelling, as in my opinion, a really important skill for every single researcher. I told you storytelling is important and how to do it. And I want to start obviously with my own story. I came to Vorarlberg or to Austria in 2017, and it was quite interesting. I was reasonably successful in Germany to get funding, and I came to Vorarlberg, and every single research project in the first 2 years was just rejected. And we wrote a lot of proposals. And so I thought, okay, maybe the scientific career is not the thing I should do if every proposal is rejected. However, 2019, a book saved my life, or better, a scientific writing seminar allowed us to succeed. The book I'm talking about is this one. I can really recommend it. Joshua Schimmel on writing science, how to write papers that get cited and proposals that get funded, or patents that get accepted, as we heard right now. So this book allowed us to stick to some simple rules, and since then, since 2019, we have a success rate of about 80 to 90% of all our research proposals. So this is something I want to give you a short introduction today, and maybe in a later workshop the next 2 years we can discuss this in more detail if you're interested in. So storytelling, first of all, why? Schimmel puts this diagram on and he says, okay, there's always data, information, knowledge, and understanding. So data is just the measurement of the temperature. Information is if it's rising or if it's declining. The knowledge is why it is rising. And the understanding is that the rise in temperature gives you a new understanding of your scientific field. So basically, he says that for data information, it's enough for discussions. For if you agree, if you include the knowledge, it's enough for conference papers. But if you really want to go to journal papers, or if you want to go to research proposals, you need to get a new understanding of your scientific field. And I always use this for my students as well, bachelor students, master students, and PhDs, and tell them, okay, you're a bachelor student. Maybe it's enough if you have data and information and some knowledge. You're a master student. You should come at least to knowledge and hopefully a little bit of new understanding. But if you're a PhD, you have to go to a new understanding of your scientific field. And so this is always what we have to tell the people we are talking to, or we have to write down in the proposals or research projects we have. How do we do this? And this is the main part of the story today. He says it's basically really simple 4 rules. You have to have a problem statement. You have to tell the people why this is a problem, because you see the problem, but the people won't see the problem, or sometimes don't see the problem. Then you have to tell them your solution, and afterwards, not just your solution, but also the benefits they gain from your solution. And you have also always have to address the issue and the audience. So you have to talk to your grandmother differently than you have to talk to a reviewer in science. But the general 4 rules, problems, so what, solution, and benefits are always the same, independent on who you're talking to. And I brought you a small example from my daily scientific life. Let us assume we have a text. You can read this text now. So breakdown times of biomass power plants due to human failure and or technology issues have to be reduced to prevent the operator from economic risks. Predictive maintenance based on unsupervised learning is a solution for this task. I'm pretty sure even if you're not familiar with thermal power plants, you would agree that if a thermal power plant breaks down, it's not the best thing from an economic point of view. And maybe there are some opportunities in algorithms or data science of stuff like this to help you to reduce these breakup times. So from a scientific point of view, objectively, that's nice, but it doesn't get you. I'm pretty sure this story does not get you. And now I try to tell you a little other story, and then you see if the other story gets you. So let us assume we have Bob. Bob is the power plant operator in the night shift. So he is working from 10 o'clock at night until 6 o'clock in the morning, 8 hours having a look on the power plant. He is sitting in the control office and have a look on the data. Meanwhile, Sarah, who is the chief operator of the power plant the whole year round, is sleeping because it's night shift. Bob is taking the work and she is sleeping, preparing for the next day. Now, Bob noticed some failure in the power plant. What he does is he calls Sarah, and Sarah drives with her car to the power plant to fix all the issues. So this is basically the problem statement. And so why this is a problem, obviously, if Bob calls Sarah, Bob is unsatisfied because he has to wake up Sarah, and Sarah has to go there with a car and does not get enough sleep. So this is a problem. How we can solve the problem is easy. If we have Bob here and we give Bob not a phone, but we give him a computer program, and his data is every time connected to the cloud, and all the time based on some data science issues and some unsupervised learning is all the time evaluated. He gets some nice graphs on his screen, and he can have a look on the different graphs, and the unsupervised learning gives him an idea where there will be a breakdown in the next, let's say, 20 minutes or half an hour. So what happens is he does not have to call Sarah. He can fix the issue on his own. So there's no phone call. And basically then Sarah is not blaming Bob again that she has to wake up, but Sarah is blaming her bell or her alarm in the next morning, 6 o'clock, and then goes to work. So basically, Bob has a really nice night because he can save all, or he can solve all his problems on his own. Sarah gets a pretty nice sleep. And the next day, 6 o'clock in the morning, Bob just hands over the power plant to Sarah and everything's fine. And we call this predictive maintenance with unsupervised learning, or in short, pre-mode. And now you can decide on your own if you compare this slide and if you compare this story, which proposals would you fund? And therefore, I think that professional storytelling is, in my opinion, one of the most important competencies every researcher, independent of career level, needs to be successful. So I hope that within RunU Plus, we are talking a lot about professional storytelling, and maybe we even address a full workshop on this topic. And if not, I can just give you the advice to buy the book of Schimmel, and your writing, it will be totally different afterwards, and hopefully even more successful than you are already at the moment. I hope they stick to 5 minutes, and my door didn't ring, so I'm pretty happy that I got through my presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Markus. And there were some applause for you, and so thank you. And it is important skill. I have also now few slides that I speak about, and we then soon will go to this smaller groups. Because now in the afternoon we are talking about these skills and competencies, and also the education towards them and how to achieve these certain competencies and skills. I refer here to one survey that was made in one EU-funded project in Dockenhards, and there were over some 2,000 doctorates that answered on this survey from different disciplines, and it was asked about their satisfaction on their education, doctoral education. And so mainly the result was that they were satisfied, but then when there was some like comparison with some subgroups, that those who were working in non-academic or healthcare or government sectors, they were a little bit less satisfied with the education, and that might included that then it hasn't been in education paid attention on this collaboration and these other skills, these transferable skills. But so this was like overall, this was one result in this. Also that when these doctorates had like made their doctoral degree, so they had different kind of career aspirations, but the main motivation was this research interest and personal rewarding aspects, and that came out also in our like word cloud that we made together. So then there were some recommendations based on these results, that these transferable skills, they should be like covered more explicitly in doctoral training, and also so that they are not just academic skills, and also support supervisors in these skills, and they can like supervise their doctoral or master students, younger researchers in this field. Also, that it's not only like formal education training, take courses, but also this that Jose spoke about, this this working together, participatory approach in different ways. So that is the one essential part of learning when we think researcher skills. And also this was in this report that encouraged to work more closely and find the ways to work with non-academic partners. And on the next slides, so when we think these researchers continuing learning and training, that is like on strategical level set in many universities, and researchers should have possibilities to develop their skills and get also training. But so we can now also in our breakout rooms discuss about this, that how then to support master students, doctoral students, or doctoral research and postdocs, and also senior researchers. And then if we think, for instance, doctoral training, what kind of compulsory studies we think that they need, what kind of opinions and views so you have. Also, when we think supervision training, that has come also in Rnd Plus discussions that supervisors need some kind of support. So also thinking that it's not only supervisors in the university, but also in industry and public sector, and so how to support them. And so this is now this idea that we will have in breakout rooms, that you would like find some topics that are essential to organize training in Rnd Plus, and also think these ways that is it workshop or courses, or is it some like material resources that should be like developed, and other possibilities like networking or book club, and so be free to discuss. But so I want to emphasize especially this, that this training with like formal training, it is just part of this learning, but learning by doing is essential part of researchers' work. And on the next slide, if I remember right, so you have this picture of these transferable skills that you got also before the workshop. And so now in these discussions in breakout rooms, that you can identify, yes, you can identify, we can go, Hanna, to this previous slide, yeah, that what are the fields that you feel yourself that you need, would like to have training and think like a broader, like master students or doctoral students and so on. So we will go now to the same groups as we were earlier today.
So we shall summarize the breakout room discussions. And after that, we still have a moment for feedback and next steps in Rnd Plus research training program. So shall we begin this time from group 5? It is you, Virve, I think.
Yes, at least yes. I was the last one. This yes. Previous session.
So now you are the first one.
Yes. So we had some two new participants in our group, but so it was very rich discussion about this, what kind of needs we identified in our own researchers' competencies and skills. And one like main topic was this communication, scientific communication, academic writing, to be able to communicate for different kind of audiences, pitching and your research. So that was one like theme. Then the other one was also this, that to learn more about this process and career path towards collaborating with enterprises, and also like some more like understanding that how then perhaps yourself could become an entrepreneur, and also connected to this, that how you can like develop your research results to the product or service. So this came out in our discussion. And then it was also about supervision and needs to like get support to supervise and also find the ways to develop them in this collaborative supervision. That is also in some universities, in some countries, it is rather new. And so also get possibilities to that and also could get in different ways support for these activities. And then when we discussed about this, what forms could be in this training or learning these skills. So maybe one conclusion is that there are mixed ways that we should think when we organize or think this how to organize training, that there can be like shorter courses and one like workshops, but also longer courses, and have to ensure that there is some basic knowledge is guaranteed in thinking the young researchers and early stage researchers. And but then also we discussed about these other kind of possibilities, like to organize like events that some experts or researchers, they speak about their expertise and others can ask about that. And so it's then more like not so formal teaching event, but so it also provides possibilities to develop and build a new contacts and networks. And also a bit referring to the work package 4.1 task, this kind of cloud, or that where we find the information that researchers need, where is there a place that where the training that is offered that can be found. And of course on organizational level it comes also to this, that do researchers know that who are the persons they can contact with certain kind of questions, and where is this information. So this can be also improved, and it is part of a learning process, that when you find that where to get like help or some knowledge. But so well, members in this group, do you want to add something? I'm sure that I didn't remember and didn't summarize all these aspects, but do you want to add something here? Nuno, perhaps. Do you have some?
Well, you were very good in the summary of the discussion.
Mm. Yeah. Yes, thank you. That was our group.
Thank you, Virve. Thank you. So you had I think 5-point list, and then this platform was the 6th point. Okay, and then Sarah, our group, number 4.
Thank you, Marvi. Okay, so in our group, I think there's a common theme that will come up all the time, which is the communication part. So in our group, for now, in this second breakout session, we had one senior researcher, one early stage researcher, one PhD student, and one graduated bachelor. So very diverse again. And what we discussed is that for PhD students and early stage researchers, for sure, there's a need for training on grant writing. This is one of the skills that everyone wants to improve. So grant writing, of course, this storytelling, I think everyone is looking forward for this workshop of Marcus. So storytelling for grant writing, but also for master students is something can be a little bit different. Also storytelling, but more, well, they feel the need to know better how to write a good scientific paper in terms of structure, what to write in every section, and so on. So for very early stage in their career. Also, there was some suggestion that could be good for late stage students, so PhD students, master students, bachelor students, like workshops on what's next, what are the options for next stage, how to apply for a PhD, for instance, or how to become a lecturer, something like that. It was something that also came up. Then, of course, this was also something that we discussed, in this case for PhDs, which is the supervision training, and that this could be also probably nice to have different supervision trainings for early stage researchers and for senior researchers, because there are specific skills maybe that are different in the early stage researchers and senior researchers. So yeah, and something that we also discussed that will be very good for networking, if possible. I don't know if there's something that already exists. I don't have the knowledge on that. But if we could have like a list of all the members of the, well, PhD members of the consortium, and like their expertise, something that could be available for the members of the Run EU Plus, where we could, I mean, have access, see the expertise on the certain area, certain skill, then we could contact directly that person. This was something that was discussed that could be valuable for the consortium. And I think that was it. I don't know if someone wants to add something. No? Okay.
So I think this idea about the list of PhD members, it's near of the idea of this platform, which Virve's group number 5 suggested, information and contacts, etc. Yes. Okay. And then group number 3, Jose.
Hello, thank you, Mary. Well, some of the aspects we discussed already, folks. But anyway, the group, we were only 5 this time, mainly PhD owners already, and we feel the need to improve skills in analytic skills. For instance, mathematical models for data analysis. But also, and I think it was a very interesting discussion, language. We are in a territory with different languages, and it might be important also to be able to have the possibility to learn German, French. French, no, we don't have any French university, but anyway, other languages to facilitate our communication. Also, the group asked for more training in professional storytelling. They think that it might be very interesting, and also training in how to work with communities, how to organize the work with communities, how to pick the right stakeholders in the communities, in order to bring industries, big industries, but also small industries and small business to the research field. That was the main idea. Of course, communication skills, um, scientific writing, of course, but scientific writing also focusing on the skills to raise the reader interest. I mean, how can we write a paper um, for general population, for instance, or for applying to a grant, where I organize a text in order to raise the evaluator interest to improve the possibilities to get the grant. That's mainly the idea. And also basic communication skills, oral communication skills were also discussed. Of course, the search for funding was also talked about. it's also a need we feel. And finally, improve skills to supervise PhD and master students.
Mhm.
Um, uh, Trying to improve, to develop an honest and open discussion regarding supervising processes between all the PhD, all the researchers in the consortium, organizing, for instance, supervisors events, maybe, where we share experiences, difficulties, ways of working, but also um, focusing on students, master students, PhD students, organizing, for instance, hackathons, 2, 3 days, long-term and intensive training where we can put all the students together with some mentors or supervisors and try them to reach the skills they need. Finally, we also think, as Sarah said, that we need to create and to improve, to boost the possibility of co-supervising within our consortium. And the list of PhD researchers, PhD professors in the consortium, available freely for all the consortium, will be a possibility for a student, another researcher in another institution, to ask some help. Do you want me? Do you want to co-supervise with me, my student, etc., etc. But trying to organize this, um, at least at the start, on a willing base. I mean, not being mandatory. We have the list, the information is over there, and researchers, professors from all our institutions can say, okay, can choose, okay, I want to co-supervise a student from AMC, from TUS, from Seychelles, whatever. And that's, I think, the summary of our reflection. I don't know if I missed anything. Maria, Giselle, Natalia.
I think it was a very good summary. Thank you, Jose.
Okay, thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Jose. Very inspiring and concrete and practical proposals for future. Really, thank you. Group number 2 and Patrick. It's your turn.
Hello again.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had 2 senior researchers, 1 early stage PhD student and 1 master's research student. So here were the points. Not unsurprising, funding is a critical issue to help with researcher development, but specific training programs for generic laboratory research techniques and statistical analysis across the consortium. Support for opportunities that are available to researchers during our career, and perhaps a page on the Cloud of Knowledge portal identifying the opportunities for jobs effectively across the university as they become available. Opportunities to travel and work on more complex programs that would include not just empirical but also the societal skills attached to research impact, training on the commercialization of our research and industry-driven informed training programs to help with this time. So outside of all the other duties that we would have to engage with, no matter what stage we're at, to engage with actually our other researchers, not just within our own labs, but across RUN and initiatives that would support that. I think everybody is looking forward to Marcus in the near future, and on programs to help with writing and storytelling to maximize the potential for research dissemination. And critically, how can this storytelling be situational dependent? So whether we're engaging with a company, the message would be different from perhaps when we're engaging with Horizon Europe funding proposals or peer-to-peer presentations, etc. The potential for consultancy roles and training by senior researchers in RunEU to support more younger researchers. Again, I'm saying what everybody is saying really. But we need to pay particular relation to IP protection training, especially as that relates to open science. And we had some training on open science there last week, so that we don't lose the value of our research. Equipment access and training across the network to support researchers' collaboration, both knowledge-based and also financial. So where somebody has a piece of equipment somewhere else, that might be made available to researchers and some of the other RunEU institutions, saving them having to buy that technical knowledge or equipment-based knowledge themselves. And then finally, the intersectoral mobility supports to internationalize our researchers, both early in career stage. And we heard about that earlier on this morning through the mobility program. So that was from us.
Thank you. Breakout room 2. And the last one is Markus and group 1.
Yes. Either I have done a really good job now, or I've really done a bad job now for my time management in the future. So first of all, thanks for all the positive remarks. Obviously, we talked a lot about storytelling as well. Who was we? Katalin was new in the group, and we were 3 people again. Concerning storytelling, we discussed a lot which is the right way to have it in as a training course. We agreed that it has to be a longer workshop, so it's not, you cannot learn storytelling in just 3 hours. I think Katie said at least 3 days. We also said that we have to have a mixture of general topics and breakout rooms. So maybe in breakout rooms have the people from the same scientific field. And also to think about special aspects of single communities. The second thing we were talking about was time management, or I always call it energy management, because we all have 24 hours. We have to manage our energy, not our time. And sometimes we all come to the direction that I have no time is a habit and not just an occasion. And therefore, maybe we can have a small or simple workshop on tools, how to manage your energies. Because I think we all know 100 of YouTube videos about time management, but maybe we are in science a little bit different than the YouTube videos, or we have at least good examples how we did it during our PhD, how we did it during the postdoc, or stuff like this. Concerning the storytelling, I think RunEU Plus ends in mid of 2024. I think we still have a lot of time. I think it's my duty now to do something on storytelling, to prepare a workshop together with someone. But don't rush me into this, because if I want to do this, I want to do it properly. And I think that could be a good thing to do end of 2023 or beginning of 2024, because I have basically nothing on this topic except of the book and some summaries of myself. But I have to come up with a really nice thing. But as you all wanted, I was already promised you to take the lead in preparing a nice workshop on storytelling. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So you promised us a workshop. Thank you very much for these summaries. I think we will do with Virve a summary of the summaries during the next weeks, and we will send it to you all. I think the teams of communication, some kind of shared platform, collaboration with enterprises, supervising, they were the teams that were common to all the groups, and of course storytelling. So we will make some kind of short summary of these discussions. And thank you, Patrick. You already sent us your document. So I will give the floor, I think, to Hanna or to Virve about the feedback and the next steps.
Yes, I can continue a little bit still what you has been said, that I think that this resource bank that came up, that that how to like learn to know each others and also this expertise. So that is something that we need to really like concentrate at how we can like get this information then of each others. But so yes, I think that we leave now these few slides that they were connected to this topic that we already discussed. So there is that feedback slide, or in fact, Hanna will put now on. Yes, Hanna will put now on chat the link to the feedback template, or that you are asked to give feedback for this workshop now. And we really appreciate if you could do that, because then after a few days, so maybe it might be more difficult to take time for this, but so that we will take now some almost 10 minutes that you can write, and then I will say the final words and also about the following steps, how we'll continue. But so please open the link on chat and give some comments, feedback for how this workshop went, and suggestions thinking the future. You can continue with filling in that feedback form, but so if someone wants to like say, we are still here online, like some feedback. Of course, we have got already quite many ideas and good suggestions to implement in future workshops. But if someone wants to like say an open mic, so please. Body, can you say a few words before I close this workshop? So have you got like ideas for the work in future?
I've got ideas, I have loads, but I'm not going to spend a long time this afternoon going through them. I think that it's critical now that we take all the feedback. I think thanks to everybody, because the feedback is what was critical to what today was about. And what we need to do now is take that together, finalize the report for the deliverable that this event is around, and then circulate that back to the community for some final feedback so that we can understand how to structure these programs going forward. No pressure on Marcus. I think he's asked for some time so that he can put together a proper program, which I think everybody at one group or another identified it as very important. And if you think about it, it might be the most important thing, because success in those areas allow all of the researchers, dependent, irrespective of what career stage they're at, to be successful, because those are the metrics we're measured by. So just thank you very much to everybody. It was a very interactive morning. The breakout rooms were brilliant. I think they could be, we could do something with those, and less time now that we all know each other presenting, more time talking about the results of the feedback that we get. So to everybody at HAMC, thank you all very much. Mervi and Verva and Hannah for organizing, and to everybody who came. I hope you enjoyed it all.
Thank you for these words. And so, Hanna, could you please put the slide where there is this training program, thinking also, yes, so that you are warmly welcome to these workshops in September, how to be a successful researcher, and then this workshop concentrating on researcher supervision. And I don't know yet the date when the registration will be open, but so it will be then informed in RunEU Plus website and also in RunEU. So I think also that it has been very rich discussions today. Participants, there were not so many participants as we expected to be, but quality, I think it was very high in these groups. So I just thank you and welcome you to these workshops in future, and have a nice rest of the day.